Hello.
Welcome, good morrow. And we have a special guest who's come from the former colony of now known as the United States of America.
Yeah.
Kirby, you're here all the way from Dallas.
Finally.
Mr. Allison.
God, this
I've
suit.
truly arrived.
Thank
But
you.
this is far too bright and lively, this suit, really.
That's right. My former career as a funeral director, apparently.
Yes.
This is how I dressed.
Yeah,
Yes, you're
Also
over.
known as Mayfair in London.
You're looking, as always. Max, fire up the cigars immediately, if not sooner.
So we were doing our unusual and unpopular at Davidoff.
Yes, that's right.
Only
Our second
yesterday or something.
installment of the
second
new,
installment,
very
yes.
popular series.
The second of many, hopefully. But we alluded to the possibility of smoking one of these Escudos, the 2007 limited edition.
I mean, this is even better because it's completely unavailable and never even existed, apparently.
Yes, and because you are who you are, Mr. Allison, we're allowed
Internet
to smoke.
sensation, internet sensation. He's got 300 million followers, million adherents.
Yes.
But since we said it on camera, Edward had to acquiesce and send us home with the box.
So well done.
And how many are we allowed to smoke? Did you say?
This is the question that I do not know the answer to, but I think it might be one per person. So 3 in total.
So
if
one
my
box
maths is
per
correct.
person or one cigar. I'm getting quite. You're teasing me here with. Select me a nice one with a slightly glossy wrapper, will you, Max?
Oh well, that's not going to be difficult whatsoever. They're all delightfully coloured.
And it's a totally new box.
But this is more of
from
your
2007.
Yes. This is
New
more
old
of
cigar,
your
15 years.
more of your
Is that mine? You can always
consistency
fold
you
it.
might enjoy.
I like a foldable cigar.
I think this is and Kirby. This will be. I don't want to give you a dud. Although there will not be a dud.
No, this is Cuban cigars we're talking about.
And then these are Edward cigars, so they're really
Brilliant.
perfect.
Brilliant choice.
We've got the Kirby Allison.
But this is the Gordito size, so the same size as one of my favorites, the La Fuerza from San Cristobal. And we love that cigar.
That's a very nice cigar.
So 50 ring gauge. What's that? 141 millimeters. What does that equate to?
In old money, that's probably
five and
five and a half inches,
Yeah,
maybe 5.5.
Thank you.
How many? What was it again?
141. So that's.
Oh no, that's five and a half inches,
Yeah, well there we go. What a world.
more or less, 5 3/8 or something.
And
I even have my own lighters. Look at this.
yeah, that's a proper
Twist
thing.
it round, twist it round.
Yay!
Yay!
That's what we're talking. And these are
Look at this.
filled, unlike other
Recently
episodes.
I mean,
Yes.
Kirby, we have gone to inordinate lengths to make your stay as memorable and as smooth as possible. We filled our lighters. We've got a cigar that is unavailable.
We had some Doritos earlier.
We did to hark back to your homeland.
We even got you an American delicacy.
Nachos or Doritos.
What's the technical term for those as a generic item? Nachos.
Potato chips.
No, they're not. They're made with corn or something. What are they called in Mexican food?
Probably just Doritos.
Doritos.
That's what we like to hear.
It's like,
But isn't Dorito a brand?
it is, but
There's
it's
one brand.
become epitomous like a Coke.
A Coca-Cola. Well, a Coke, you have a Pepsi Cola.
Cola or a soda.
A soda.
Fizzy pop.
A soda. What's the other thing they have there? Ginger. No, root beer.
Root beer. I can't say that.
Filthy. It's filthy.
Is it?
It's like imagine very badly flavored cough mixture. Then effervesced.
Effervesced. So we, as you've seen, Kirby, we are rather primitive in comparison to your production.
Hardly. This is.
Yes, we try our best.
It's a true honor and a privilege. I've truly infiltrated the competition. To
Yes.
be here
I
on
love the competition. The competition. Both our viewers, our viewer on the Instagram and our viewer on the YouTube, battling it out for supremacy.
amongst the cigar aficionados, the well smoked.
The well smoked, yes.
But this is. I mean, what was the other one?
So we were talking, and
The Duke
Eddie,
when was the Duke?
That was
the Duke was
2009. But Eddie kindly reminded me that this was the first year of production in which they aged the wrapper, filler, and binder all for 2 years. Before it was only the wrapper used.
Yeah, which is interesting that in doing so they didn't quite get it right that first year. You think it would be
Yes.
something that universally improved.
You would have thought
cigar.
so. You would have thought so. And that was the whole idea behind our short videos.
Shows how little you know about Cuba.
Yeah, you should never give up on a cigar. If it's maybe not how you would expect it or you'd like it to be in the first place.
Just put it away for a year and...
well, in this case, quite
put
a
it
bit
away
longer.
for a decade, maybe.
Yes.
Or two.
A little over a decade, and hopefully when they're back out, they should.
This is
smoke
15.
in a-
This is then 17 years of age minimum. Because you've got it's a 2007 release,
Yes.
and then with 2 years on it before, that's 2005. So it's 17 years minimum.
And I think the 2 years is plus the original.
Normal, regular,
Yes.
10 minutes fermentation in a bucket or
Yeah.
something.
But this came out alongside the Regalos, the Hoyo de Monterrey, which is incredibly unpopular.
This is an incredibly undistinguished
Yes.
cigar. I think unpopular, undistinguished,
Yeah.
unavailable, thank goodness.
And the Trinidad Ingenios, the Lonsdale, Cervantes, which I think is meant to
That's
be a
a
little
good
better.
cigar. That's a cigar that
I love a
Fabian,
good Lonsdale.
the great
Yes.
Fabian Frinz loves that cigar, doesn't he? The Ingenios.
So yes, that's. But I've never had the pleasure of smoking one, but I do love the Vitola,
Yeah.
as do you, Kirby, as you've mentioned.
But back in
yes.
2007, I mean, Cuba was just, or Habanos was just really getting started with limited editions, weren't they?
Mm,
I mean,
Well, they've been
how
knocking around for a while.
about 2000, I think, was the
Well,
first.
I think what they had, how it came about, I think, was that they came across. They had some, as always with Cuba, there was a shortage of everything, and they had some very dark wrappers. And they said, "What can we do with these? Because we can't give them to we can't give them to like the export markets." And Simon Chase said, apparently, no, they go down a storm in England. So you got the first limited editions that way, and that the first bands don't actually have the date on; they just have edition limitada.
Exactly.
I
Yes.
think I might even have some of those knocking around in the cube,
look at
in the
you.
humidor behind me. But
There was the Hoyo Particulares, that exceedingly long cigar that came in individual.
ludicrously long
Coffins.
cigar. It was like
I think it's a Gran Corona, isn't it? A Monte Cristo A size.
Yes, Monte Cristo A side, but it was sort of, what was the one that you were told didn't exist, but I've got lots of them?
Well, that very long Romeo.
Yes, the Romeo and Julieta.
The one I've never seen before, apart from in your humidor.
That's fantastic. I remember. Did I tell you about when we smoked some of those and we watched some Cuban and American soldiers arm wrestling in the airport of Havana?
You didn't tell me that.
In
no.
1994 or something like that, or 95. But I told you about my first time arrival in Cuba, didn't I?
What?
Tell
No.
us the story.
We flew in on a flight that didn't exist from Miami. As we were wearing blazers, I was with Clive Aslett, Dr. Aslett. We were ushered to the front of an Aerolíneas Argentinas plane, and they played us a video, a film. It was not a long flight, of steak restaurants in Buenos Aires, which of course was not our destination.
Oh right.
And then
Brilliant.
when we got to the airport, it consisted largely of a tin top shack,
Okay.
and the customs and immigration was a somewhat protracted process, so they kept us amused when television bolted to the wall with a man setting fire to his trousers as part of a comedy act.
that is comedic though.
And then it's brilliant. I mean, this would have been a Carry On film, Carry On Cuba, and he was able to put one leg out, and then as he sort of sighed with relief, the other leg would burst into flames. Luckily, we don't have any inflammable trousers on us this evening.
You know, Edward was talking about the first time that he went to Cuba back in 1987,
Amazing.
and just how much it had changed in 10 years.
Mm.
Right. So your first trip was in the late 90s.
I think mid-90s, 94, 95. But already, I think it had changed quite a lot.
I've never been. It's on my bucket list of things to do soon. Have you been to Cuba, Max?
I never have. No, I think we were meant to go at some point. But
Soon,
then
I think we need a proper Foulkes and Sons,
we should.
Kirby Allison collaborative trip.
Yes.
With Jonathan saying the
Yeah.
reveal. We must have Jonathan. Jonathan, by the way, viewer, is, would you say he's Colonel Tom Parker to your Elvis?
That's right. Yes.
I mean, he really is an impresario, isn't he?
He's a lovely man. I remember I have fond memories of our trip to Wilton's. The first time I've ever been to Wilton's. This was after filming.
But wasn't he advising him on what wine to drink or something?
No. I said, would it be improper for me to have a red meat? And he was like, yes, I think it would be. You need to have the Dover Saul Meunier. And I was like, okay, very good. And I've not regretted that decision.
Yeah.
So
that was your first time to Wilton's. We
first
all
time to
shared together.
Wilton's. Yeah. And it was
After
very,
all filming together
Yes.
as a group.
exactly.
How
it
is
was
the
a very
cigar
enjoyable
going, Max?
experience. The cigar is a good construction. It's relatively sweet. Smooth.
I think it's smooth. It demonstrates, for me, it's one of the best of a Mild to medium or medium strength Havana?
Well, I haven't got to the medium yet, I don't think, but we might.
It's
reach that
sweet.
point.
There's flavour rather than strength at the moment, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
There's a sensation. It's smooth. It's
Yep.
balanced. It is quite sweet.
You can tell that it's old.
Yeah.
How?
You
Just
can
in its mellowness.
it's rather difficult to describe this unique kind of sensation that you get with an aged cigar.
Mm-hmm.
But if you smoke enough of them, you eventually realise that there is a correlation, and
Yeah.
you know they do share these characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
But they also, it is basically, you get a more harmonious, I mean, some of the stuff one gets, I mean, like when the 2014, the Robusto Extra came out,
Yes.
that was all over the place as a sort of entrant onto the market. And I thought, this is going to be a disaster. And I didn't bother to buy any, stupidly. And then, of course, it turned out to be delicious because it settled down quite rapidly, actually.
Yeah.
2014, what, the Robusto, the Trinidad?
No, the Cohiba Robusto Extra.
Oh, the Robusto Supremo, the Robusto Supremo.
Sorry,
Yeah,
what am I talking about? Robusto Extra. My ignorance, viewer, my ignorance.
No, I thought it was the Robusto Extra was around for a little longer, a little before that. But the Robusto Supremos is now
The Robusto
highly,
Extra was that
highly
marvellous
sought after.
Trinidad, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I find that the Cuban cigars, they all benefit from at least a year or two of being set down.
I'd agree with
Right?
you there.
I mean, just to mellow out and to,
Yeah.
for the flavors to kind of settle.
That's for sure.
And
Some of these things rip your head off.
I can't imagine this not smoking nicely. I mean,
But yeah,
Mm.
you
It
should,
was
you should,
described as
you
a
should have
total
tried
dread.
it. You should have tried it back in 2007. That was
Yes.
that was a monster.
I think that was-
people laughed. People laughed. People actively, you couldn't give them away to vagrants.
And but how times have changed. But that was what I was not quite old enough to smoke. I mean, I could have smoked if I wanted to.
How old
but,
were you?
2007.
You were 11 years old or something, or 6 years old.
That makes
or
sense.
5.
11.
Nine.
Don't get me confused with your other son.
Were you 14 at the time?
But I was 11, and
Or hadn't you just got married? I
I
forget.
remember those days. Yes, I remember at the age of 11 trying the Regalos and being bitterly disappointed.
I know.
And the Escudos as well.
Right. Well,
But,
let us, viewer. We're about to enter our state of purdah, much as when they elect a new pope in Rome, they go into a conclave and the doors are barred, and we will consider. We will
rise
wait
up in
for
the
the white
chimney.
smoke to
Yes.
arrive. So, viewer, we'll be back. We're back, and
Ah.
Kirby's still here.
I'm still here.
Kirby's still here, Max is still here, and the cigar
Just
is a
about.
little lower. I'm getting a bit of salt now on the
Little
tip of
less,
the
yeah.
tongue. What are you getting?
Yes, now that you mentioned that, I suppose I am. But I'm also finding it's developing possibly more into a light to medium than it was
Yeah,
Before.
there's more medium than there was before.
before. Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Well, I agree. I think that there's certain tanginess I'm getting.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
that kind of salt tang. I mean, what I find so inexact about these things is you're basically trying to kind of liken the flavour of tobacco to something else, given that everybody else's taste is subjective.
Yeah.
So we've got no idea how the other experiences taste.
But I was saying I had cinnamon earlier,
Yeah, but cinnamon is a kind of cousin of this kind of thing. It's
and
like
I'm getting
coffee.
quite a strong aroma of cocoa from the smoke. I mean, along with the the spice and pepper that naturally accompanies smoke of a cigar, but cocoa sometimes a little
I mean,
bit.
it's smoking beautifully. I mean, it's got a beautiful, nice, dark, oily wrapper.
Oh yeah, it's an especially good looking box.
Feels good in the hand. I mean, I guess in 2007 they weren't doing 54s and 60s.
No, this was maybe a monster of its time, wasn't it? It would have been
Well, I mean, when
sort
I
of,
was a lad, yes. I mean,
Yes.
I remember when I started smoking cigars, things like a 50 ring gauge was, God, you really have to sort of settle, you really have to kind of take your life in your hands before you tackle one of those. And I think that the Monte Cristo number 2 and the Upman number 2 were the two, they were 52, but they were obviously Figurados.
yeah. So slightly easier to smoke, but in this age of 70 ring gauge cigars,
ring gauge.
this is
I mean,
almost a panatella.
this would seem
Yeah.
like, I mean, you have a cigar like
No,
that.
We do sell a cigar. It's fitting. It's called the Hercules.
Yeah, for stag parties, for
Yeah.
the people that come in and want as macho of a cigar as they can find.
And then
Exactly.
also you can chop it up and use it as foundations for a small garden shed.
There's another one called the Asylum, because that's where you'll end up after smoking it, which I think is it's a great name for a cigar.
And that's also very cheering for those people with mental health issues as well, to know that they're being mocked by makers of ludicrous tobacco products.
But I think it's a very good cigar. It's not.
Is it?
It's not this. No, not that one.
This?
No, I've never smoked that.
You were almost disowned.
No,
Yeah.
it's more of a baseball bat than it is a cigar. You know.
Oh.
So
It's hard to believe that the
Americanism.
Sahakians would even allow that into the humidor.
I know it's.
But I guess there's a market for everyone. You must
Well,
serve your
they do
customers.
serve the customers. They're very good like that. But I mean, I would take maybe a newel post of the staircase there and use that, fashion that into a cigar. Or maybe the support for the early 19th century breakfast table that we got there.
Well, there's that famous, I've forgotten what it's called, that partagas that was made for the king of Egypt.
Ah, Farouk.
Yes, which is a meter long or half a meter long or something like that. And
Farouk was amazing.
And it comes in a glass tube inside a cedarwood coffin, and it is, I kid you not, that long.
But you don't have them in stock?
No. I was only reading about it the other day with my dear Cuban uncle, Alberto.
Oh, I love Alberto. He was in the shop today wearing a Union Jack mask.
He is, and I often say to him, people will think you're British, Alberto. He's like, I know.
I know. He is fantastic.
I'm teaching him. I like to say to customers, you know, if they're asking whether they should buy, you know, I like a box of partagas. Maybe I should buy 2. I say that's very sensible for you to do so. And Alberto loves that very much. You know, he's using that. And the other day he came into work and said, "How do you do?" Oh no, he said, "How do you do?" And he's like, "That's very British, isn't it, Max?" I was like, "It is indeed."
Yeah, I love it. You're good.
I've learned so much from that man.
He's a great man.
He's great, and obviously his wife Anna has played a big part in the Cuban
success of Havanos. Exactly. I mean, it was under her time that they launched the Siglo 6, which I still think of all the standard production Havanas is the finest cigar. For me, the Siglo 6, when it's good, and it normally is good, and when it's got a bit of age on it, there is nothing to beat it, really.
We had those great 2004.
Do you remember those were delicious, weren't they?
Yeah, they were very, very good.
I mean, that's better for me than a Sublime, better than 1966.
It's a great cigar.
Yeah.
But Alberto is a legend. He's now a dear friend of mine. I do consider him my Cuban uncle. I've learned a great deal from him.
How long have they been over here?
I think
since time immemorial, if not longer. I think about 10 years.
10 years, I'd say, yes. And the great thing about Alberto is he knew next to no English when he first came to the country, and now he's got quite a strong grasp of the language. I mean, sometimes he's
stronger grasp than I got of Spanish, given.
Oh, certainly, yeah. But it's great because he also tries to. He wants me to type into the till the prices of certain cigars, and he says them to me in Spanish.
Oh, good. So you're learning.
I'm learning. So 2 por 24, and I go 2 He's like, "Sí." I'm like, "Thank you, Alberto. Thank you." No, he's a great. Have you
ever messed that up?
Did you meet?
I always say it in English. Say
it back to him in English.
Yes, exactly, and he has to kind of confirm.
Yeah. So what does his wife do? Anna? No.
Anna was a marketing director of Havanos, and then she came over here as the Cuban board member of Hunter and Franco. And then I think she went back, and then they decided to come and emigrate here.
Really?
I mean, I'm not sure. So
yeah, I'm not entirely sure myself.
Who is the current Cuban attaché to Hunters and Franco? It's another gentleman I met, Juan. Isn't it?
I love it, Juan. I got no idea, but let's say Juan.
Juan Carlos.
Juan Pepe.
Juan Pepe.
Yeah.
I got absolutely no idea.
Neither do I.
But that's one for the diary.
Undoubtedly very, very good at his job, I'm sure.
I'll be embarrassed. But,
No.
Edit that one out.
That's fantastic.
There's very limited editing that goes on during Foulkes and Sons.
None.
Yeah, none whatsoever.
None. It's one take.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, we don't mess around. It's perfection as it goes. So, in conclusion,
it's a good cigar. You won't be able to buy it nor smoke it. So we're smoking it for you.
it is.
It's all in charity.
It's outstanding, viewer. We've delivered you yet another memorable experience in Kirby vision.
Yes.
Well.
But thank you, Kirby. You made it so much better.
You made it so much better, and I mean, this gentleman is a genuine internet sensation.
Hardly. But I've truly arrived to be sitting on, I think, one of the most prestigious, next to the 2 chairs at Davidoff of London.
Yes.
I couldn't desire to smoke anywhere else than here in such great company.
Oh, you're very kind.
You're very, very kind, Kirby. And we join, as always, in our rousing cry, fighting the virus one
Corona at a time. And hopefully we won't have to do so for much longer.
But I mean, we have single-handedly turned the tide on the pandemic.
Yeah.
Well, we should continue, I think, in an effort to ward off any future variants, continue to
I think so.
fight one Corona at a time.
I think
My
so.
favorite was the Tibetan variant of the Indian variant. Was it the Tibetan mutation of the Indian variant? I think.
I was a big fan of that one.
Yeah, I was very, very happy about that. Anyway, viewer, we've kept you long enough. Have a rest. Good night.
Thank you.